Namaste everyone. Today I'm in conversation with Acting Country Director of Plan International Nepal, Srijana Gurung, to talk about how Plan International Nepal is doing its humanitarian work. Welcome.
Namaste. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us today as we mark World Humanitarian Day. At Plan International Nepal, we often say that children, girls, and young people are at the center of everything we do. So today we would really love to know how Plan International Nepal is putting children, girls, and young people at the center and doing its humanitarian work. Many people think that humanitarian work only begins after disaster happens. How does Plan International say it differently?
So, of course, disaster, after responding to a disaster is one aspect of the whole humanitarian spectrum. At Plan International Nepal, we look at the whole process. We look at crisis as a more of a continuous process, starting from preparedness, whether it's preparing ourselves to deal with any kind of crisis, whether it's preparing building capacity of our partners, of our community, of young people, and creating awareness to everybody in terms of how each individual can contribute to be more prepared for the future. So there's this whole thing about whole work that Plan International does on anticipatory action. And of course, once the disaster happens, response is also a big part of it. So the preparatory part and response, they go hand in hand, but I think more focus should be given on the preparation part. The most affected are the children and young people, and especially girls and young women. They are at higher risk of being more vulnerable at the time of crisis. So their participation in preparedness, their participation in planning, their participation in response is very, very essential. So it is really important to bring the voices, bring the perspective of the young people in the preparedness process, in the response process. I think that's why Plan historically has put young people, children, and especially girls at the center of whatever we do, including humanitarian work.
Nowadays, Nepal is facing more flood, landslide, and climate-related disaster. How is Plan International Nepal preparing communities for these growing challenges?
So some of the things that we have done is we are coming up with an anticipatory action framework. We have a global framework and we are contextualizing for Nepal's context. And that's something we would be, once it is finalized, we'd be cascading that to our partners and communities.
What's one story or moment that reminds you and make you feel like humanitarian work is really, really important?
There are many moments in my career where the moment you interact with the community, you feel that whatever you have done has a small contribution to their lives. In terms of humanitarian work, one example that I can give, that I can remember right now is Jajakot, where we had responded a couple of years back after the earthquake there. And few weeks after the earthquake, I had gone there to visit and see our response program. We had a distribution program in one of the schools. And as we were waiting for the communities for the distribution program, and then gradually we started having people from the communities. And I saw young children, girls and boys. The sheer joy that you saw, that I saw in the face of the girls and boys, it really brought me at the same tear, at the same time happiness. And it was an example where I sort of witnessed how resilient our young children are. While they had feared a lot of, while they had experienced loss, fear, but at the same time, they were also embracing the future. They were also preparing themselves to be ready for any kind of crisis that might come.
Many young people watching this video may want to help but don't know where to start. So what did you say to them?
I think it's first even the thought of wanting to do something, even the thought of what can I do in itself is a big component, because it has to start from within. Until and unless you feel like you can support, you can help, you won't be able to put that into action. So number one, the thought itself is great, but at the same time, it's better if you put that thought into the action. So the crux is, we often think that, oh, I need to do something big and I don't have the resource, I don't have the connection. But I think change starts from one step, and you need to have the courage to take one step. So my request to the young generation is to volunteer. If they have information, go and volunteer wherever they can. Spread awareness. Use the network that they have to make sure that the community is well prepared, their own families are well prepared.
What does an inclusive humanitarian action really looks like?
Plan International Nepal is built on the foundation and principle of leaving no one behind. And in the process of carrying out our programs, we ensure that we go to communities where others haven't ventured. We work with marginalized and most marginalized. Similarly, in our approach to humanitarian work, we also need to make sure that we don't go to a community with a blanket approach. We have to ensure that the support that we provide are catered to the needs of special groups, whether it's girls, whether it's people living with disability or LGBTQI community, because one approach may not address the concern or the need of all the community.
If every child and young people in Nepal could hear one message in this World Humanitarian Day, what would it be?
So it's probably difficult for me to give one message. I will try my best. For me, humanitarian work is ordinary people doing extraordinary work, and especially for children and young people, my request to them is that they are not just the leaders for future, they are already leaders now. And their voice matters, their participation matters, and their leadership matters. And what I would suggest is take the courage to speak up, take the courage to voice your opinion, take the courage to make a change, even if it is at a small scale. Step up and speak up. Thank you.
Thank you, Srijana ji, for joining us and sharing your stories and experiences.
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you.
Yeah. So today we talked about the importance of humanitarian work and how Plan is carrying its humanitarian work by putting children, girls, and young people at the center. So young people, you're already a leader. Stand up and speak for yourself. Thank you.